What's up, guys? More Resident Evil for you today. So today, I thought I would do something slightly different and hopefully mildly interesting. I thought I would do a speedrun, rocket launcher, full, lowest difficulty, easiest version speedrun of Resident Evil 3 Remake, and combine it with a few channel updates for you. Because I know there's been a little bit of a gap since the last video, not too much. But there's a few minor changes that we want to make to the channel and things like that. So I thought, why not combine the two? So first of all, let's start this off. So full disclosure, obviously there's going to be some spoilers. I'm going to skip all the cutscenes, so in order to try and get the best time possible. I will be using the infinite rocket launcher just because it's so much fun. Hopefully I won't mess up too much, but yeah, so there will be some spoilers by proxy in terms of like late game areas and things. So yeah, be warned going in. But it might be quite useful to you if you have beaten the game but you're looking for quicker methods. I mean, there are some people who are doing it in crazy times. I don't think I'm going to be anywhere near them, but I just thought it might be fun anyway. So we're going to go with assisted because why not? So yeah, channel updates. So everything's been going good. Thank you very much for all your feedback and for sharing and all the subscribers. I'm eternally grateful for all of that stuff. So basically, recently I've been thinking about what I want the channel output to be and things like that, and I kind of come to the conclusion that it's kind of naturally come to the conclusion, I guess, that I prefer making, and people seem to prefer watching, the longer form content. So that's sort of what I want to focus on going forward. They'll still be in the forms of reviews and analysis and various other types of videos. Not the form that's changing necessarily, but I don't want to have to rush to get a video out every week and then compromise the quality. So the plan going forward is essentially to focus on longer form content. Now, the thing about longer form content is it takes longer, unsurprisingly. So that means that, you know, videos won't necessarily be coming weekly anymore. I'll obviously get them out as quickly as I can, but I'm constantly trying to push myself to, you know, increase the production level, make sure they're the best they can be, make sure the writing, I'm happy with the writing and the script, and make sure it's all tightly edited and things like that. And that stuff takes time, and the quality of the analysis as well. I need it to be a high, you know, and I like to do a lot of background reading and look at interviews and speak to the communities based on each game and all that kind of stuff. So basically deeper dives, slightly less frequently, I guess. But hopefully that will mean that, you know, so far I'm really proud of everything that I've outputted on the channel. I don't want that to change. And I just feel a little bit like I'd be rushing if I tried to get a new review out every week. And I wouldn't be able to do them to the levels of quality or the level of depth that I'd really want to. So yeah, going forward, that's the focus. The other thing, the other bit of housekeeping, I guess, is some people have been asking in the comments about streams. I did some streaming when I was doing the Mechanicus review, which went down okay, and I've basically been asked if I'm going to be doing more streaming. It's something that I want to focus on a little more than I am at the moment, but just outside factors are making that difficult. So the hope is going forward that I'll try and implement maybe one stream per week if I can for now, and then that'll obviously scale up if it can be, and occasionally scale down. But yeah, so that's the plan going forward, because I really do enjoy streaming. I just it's just harder for me to get that time to do it at the moment. Also, regarding streaming, do let me know either in the comments for this video or whatever, if you'd like, what you'd like me to stream, if you'd like streams to be of what I'm reviewing, I sometimes find that helpful because I can stream and then discuss, you know, with the game's community, fan community and stuff, or whether you'd prefer just me to stream other random games, you know, new releases or stuff like that that maybe I haven't got to reviewing on the channel, or maybe I'm not planning on reviewing, whatever. And also, let me know if there is some games that you think you'd like to see reviewed or covered. I don't really. I'm going to try and focus on retro games as well. I don't really, at the moment, I don't really have a mandate. I don't care how old the game is. I think that generally, if it's worth talking about, it's worth talking about. Yeah, any suggestions, that'd be cool. And I think that's it for housekeeping. So, yeah, if I think of something else during this playthrough, I'm sure I'll throw it out there. As you can see, I'm skipping all the cutscenes. Getting through as quickly as possible. Oh, Nemesis! It still gets me every time, this bit. No, I don't think he's ever got me here.
It's my turn, bitch!
I don't know how many of you out there that have played this. I recently got the 100% on this, platinumed it and stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really like the original Resident Evil 3, and this is I mean, it's sort of a similar deal to, obviously, the Resident Evil 2 remake, obvious reasons. But there are pluses and minuses, so I think the Resident Evil 2 remake was a bit of a longer experience and a bit more robust in terms of its single-player campaign. This is very short. In fact, that's one of the criticisms that's being leveled at it by certain critics, and it's understandable. But for me, the thing about Resident Evil 2 was it didn't have the same replay value that this does, the Resident Evil 2 remake. They didn't have the kind of unlockable rocket launcher, unlimited ammo, and all that sort of stuff. There was a few weapons you could unlock on unlimited ammo. I think it was the pistol and a machine gun. But it was more kind of... It felt more catered to the people who maybe just want to play through the game once. Or not play through it like multiple times. Whereas this one feels more like it's a speedrunner's game, or a game that, you know, you're supposed to just constantly refine your run, and then every time you can unlock new weapons and new ammo and stuff. A bit more like the older Resident Evils were like that, I guess. So for me, the short length doesn't bother me too much. I completely understand the criticism, though, to be honest. And it is valid. It's just it depends on how you approach it and how what you enjoy. You might remember this area from the demo. There is a Let's Play of the demo on the channel as well, if you want to check that out. It's mildly interesting to see what's changed since. Give me that herb. Even though not really, healing items aren't really going to be much of a thing. So, infinite rocket launcher, recovery coin, iron defense coin. Pro tip, these coins are awesome. So you can, the way it works is when you beat the game, you unlock a rewards shop, and based on certain challenges to do throughout the game, which are not only tied to completion and difficulty, but also tied to things like kill this many zombies, or kill this many enemies with this weapon, that kind of stuff. You unlock a currency, and that currency can be spent in the reward shop to unlock different weapons with unlimited ammo and stuff like that. Obviously, the rocket launcher is the most expensive. But these coins, right, they make the harder difficulties so much better, because basically, obviously, the rocket launcher is super expensive, but these coins, there's 2 of each, and 2 of them mean you take less damage. 2 of them, and they stack, so if you have both of them on you, you take even less damage. 2 of them mean you dish out more damage, so you basically hit harder. And 2 of them mean that your health constantly replenishes. negating any need for health items as long as you can kind of, find somewhere to just rest up. So yeah, on Inferno mode, which is the hardest difficulty, which gets unlocked basically after completing Nightmare difficulty, which is a difficulty that gets unlocked. Where am I going? Oh yeah, hosepipe. Which is a difficulty that gets unlocked after completing Hardcore difficulty, so on and so forth. Forgot about him. You want these coins. You want to unlock the coins and the rocket launcher if you can, because they just make everything so much easier. So much more plausible. I mean, the final boss can still be a bit of a dick on any difficulty, because and especially on the harder difficulties, because obviously because it's a scripted sequence, I guess you'll see when we get there. You can't just nerf him with the rocket launcher, which is a shame, because that's basically how you can kill every other boss in the game on any difficulty. But it's also cool because you don't have these things right away, right? So if you want to challenge yourself, you can. I've seen some crazy runs on this game, like speed runs quicker than this. I've seen people beat the game on the hardest difficulty without being hit at all, which is just madness. With no rocket launcher, just using a pistol. It's crazy. So the difficulty is as malleable as you'd like, I guess. The trophies, if you're into that sort of thing, I'm playing this on PS4, but the trophies are also pretty good. Like there's stuff like beat the game only using one health item or less, or beat the game without opening the item box, stuff like that. So they were kind of cool to get as well. But again, they all kind of lead towards this notion of constant repetition, constantly playing the game and replaying the game and replaying the game again and again and again until, you kind of know where everything is and everyone is before they even get there. But yeah, in terms of the story as well, I mean, it's typical Resident Evil fare. They've embellished a little bit in comparison to the original, but not much. It's basically the Resident Evil 2 remake treatment again. And this one kind of... There's some repeated areas as well, which again have seen a few complaints, I think, in the... Oh shit, what am I doing? In certain reviews, but... that's to be expected. And it's interesting because Resident Evil... Oh god, this area is the worst. So, in this area, as happens in that cutscene, there's these spiders that lay a parasite inside you. You have to take a green herb to get rid of it. Literally the worst. So not only are they horrible, creepy spiders, but they also lay a weird parasite inside you. It's lovely. So I am going to be spamming the rocket launcher as much as I can in here, because I hate it. And I hate them. Back off. I can't even see them most of the time. I'm just literally spamming rockets. Which is how really this should be played if you've got the rocket launcher, because the AoE is fucking mad. Like, you can take out tons of enemies just by shooting at the ground in front of you. And I do not want to get caught by one of these spiders. I can hear one behind me. It's not so bad when you've learnt the route as well, when you know your way around without checking the map or anything, but still not super pleasant, this area. Probably one of the worst areas in the game, to be fair. What was I saying before this? Yeah, so it's interesting because Resident Evil 3 was not originally planned to be Resident Evil 3. It was planned to be sort of an offshoot, which is why it shares a lot of the same areas and a lot of the same assets and stuff, and also why it was able to come out so quick after Resident Evil 2. So the story goes, anyway, that Resident Evil Code Veronica was supposed to be Resident Evil 3, which you can kind of see that being the truth because there's such a technical leap forward with Code Veronica. in the sense that, you know, all the areas are 3D rendered. You know, there's no use of 2D backdrops or anything like that with 3D rendered characters over the top, which is how the first 3 Resident Evils look. A style that I actually really like, but yeah, so hear these things. Yeah, so Resident Evil 3 was actually supposed to be an offshoot, but then things got shipped around at Capcom for whatever reason, and Resident Evil 3 is what it is now. But the interesting part is you kind of feel the layover with this, because the thing about Resident Evil 3 is it's relatively short, even in its original form, and it's also... Oh, great, just electrocuted myself. And it's also clearly kind of made out of some of the parts of Resident Evil 2. And not in a bad way, I love Resident Evil 3. But that's sort of the same here. And I think in order to be an accurate remake, it kind of had to...
All that leaves is the main power switch.
Kind of had to feel like... It had to feel like that. It had to keep that element, those elements. And so the problem is that that creates its own issues in, you know, 2020, when people expect games to be 20 to 30 hours long. And I mean, I don't think they always have to be, but you know, as you'll see with this speedrun, I'm hoping to have the game done in probably less than an hour and a half, if all goes well, maybe even quicker than that. So, you know, not the longest. Oi, son. The other thing, actually, the other criticism that I've seen in a lot of reviews, that I think is kind of valid, is that... So, with Resident Evil 2 Remake, obviously you had Mr. X, right? And he can come at any... After his introduction, he can just turn up at any time, and then he'll chase you around and mess you up. All that stuff, right? Cool. In the original Resident Evil 3... on the PS1, the Nemesis was basically similar, so he could turn up at any point for most of the game and just chase you around and mess you up. You basically just had to run away from him. And he would jump in through windows, he would jump in anywhere. He was crazy, right? In this, he only turns up during scripted sequences. So he will chase you, but he only turns up as part of a scripted sequence, right? So the problem with that is that, you know, after you've played the game once, you know when he's coming. Like, he's going to be behind me right now. And so it does make it better for speedruns, I guess, but it does remove some of that, you know, like some of the horror, the uncertainty, the manifesting horror that can come at you at any time.
All right, where are we headed?
Shit, what's this?
Train is stopped at Redstone Street. We need to reach Fox Park
Yes.
Station.
I know that's SAO2.
Program that in.
I think
Hey,
it's
I'm super happy.
FA012 and then RA03. If I've remembered that would be crazy. Oh, oh my god, look at that. First time. Can't believe I remembered it.
Tough as nails, too. Hurry back to the
Awesome.
station. We'll make sure the subway's ready to...
Yeah, so that's I can kind of understand that. Even though the Nemesis is handled well in this game because he is menacing. And he can mess you up pretty easily.
Fuck.
The fact that he only appears, you know, in very scripted sections is a little bit to his detriment, because sort of, you know, systemic manifesting horror is kind of... It's lost a little bit, I guess. Rocket to the face. This rocket launcher just nerfs the Nemesis in most encounters, to be honest. No, that's the wrong way. Don't go the wrong way. That's not going to help the speedrun time, is it? Nemesis will be back up in a minute. Getting out of the police car. But yeah, I mean, these criticisms are minor, I guess. I mean, it is sort of doing its own thing when it comes to the Nemesis, but I just think it would have been cool. And the weird thing is as well, on a technical level, obviously they were able to do this because Mr. X just turns up whenever he wants. But I don't think it's that kind of constraint. I feel like it's more a constraint of level design. And the game's sort of like narrative flow and things like that.
Come on, you creepy ass.
He dodged! He dodged! Dodge that, motherfucker. So, I mean, this rocket launcher, man. It's just a speedrunner's dream. Just mess the Nemesis up before he even knows what's happening. Come on, get the vent off. Can catch you here if you're not quick enough. Come on, Jill. Look at this outfit, man. The Resident Evil 1 outfit. You have to unlock this in the shop. Oh, the sewer section. This Carlos section's kind of interesting as well. You'll see them in a little bit. They come up relatively often. I feel like there's like 2
Carlos.
maybe in the whole game.
Oh, I need to find another way out.
You got to be careful here as well, because if you don't, especially on this difficulty, on the not this difficulty, with these unlocks, like these extra weapons, this you can actually get nerfed in this area.
What was that?
So you need at least 2 inventory spaces in your inventory, and if you don't have them, you can't. Once you slide down this slope, you can't get to an item box. I don't think.
I'm definitely.
So you basically are blocked. If you've got stuff in your inventory that you can't get rid of, so for example, like the rocket launcher or the coins, I can't drop them. I can't get rid of them. I can put them in an item box, but I can't get rid of them, and so you can actually find yourself pretty heavily nerfed. Way, son. Oh, actually, maybe there is an item box back here, thinking about it. Which we should go to now quickly, because I think there is a... Yeah, it'll affect the speedrun time a little bit, but whatever. Whatever. It's not competitive. I'll tell you what, man. The first time I saw these things, they shit me up something fierce. What the... no idea what the hell they were. Or I don't remember them from... rocket launcher... Okay, yeah, so you're not nerfed. You can go in there and use your item box. I thought there was a inventory expansion there, but I've just remembered it's not there, it's somewhere else. So. Whatever. We'll have to speed up for the rest of the game just so we can catch up on our timing, because that's added a good 30 seconds or so to our speedrun time. I think my quickest time is like hour and 7 minutes. Hour and 10 minutes? I don't know. Something like that. But, you know. Like I say, it's not competitive. I just thought it was an interesting way we could chat about the channel and also see through a pretty good game in the midst of all the mental new releases. And it has been crazy. I know every year there's always a period in the year where... Fuck! Forgot about him. There's always a period in the year where there's just new releases every day or every week. And there's just tons and you just never get to them. The backlog is ridiculous. But it's been particularly bad this year, I think. Like, we had, within a matter of weeks, you had this, Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Doom Eternal. All coming out at the same time. And then I think the Trials of Mana remake is pretty soon as well. That's another point as well I was going to make, speaking of JRPGs. JRPGs is something that I want to start covering a little more on the channel. I'm starting to focus on them a little bit more in the kind of the games I've got in the pipeline for review and coverage. And because they are a huge, like... I love JRPGs. They're a huge part of my childhood and my gaming education, as it were. But the problem with them is they're really long a lot of the time. And so that also means that, you know, videos don't get done as quick, because I like to play through whatever I'm reviewing or whatever I'm, you know, analysing. I like to play through it several times And that's no different for JRPGs, but the difference is, you know, this game, for example, my first playthrough, I think took me 5 hours, maybe. So I could play this game through twice, and maybe even a third time as a speed run, and I'd be ready to cover it. In terms of, I would have got everything I need out of the content. Of course, there's still time that I would have to spend, you know, researching. Maybe I'd probably play through the original again several times. I'd probably speak to, you know, members of the community, see what the fan reaction is. I would look up interviews with the developers, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of what I need to draw out of the experience itself, you know, I'd be basically all but done with this game in you know, 10 hours in terms of just this version of it. Whereas you take a JRPG, some of them are 60 to 100 hours, you know, and I like to try and get the 100% if I can before reviewing stuff. I like to see everything that the game's got to offer. So that means that, you know, we're looking at 100 to 200 hours just to play through the game, the base text that's going to be analyzed, before any of the, you know, extra stuff that I like to do. So it just means that, you know, doing that every week is just not possible. There's just not enough hours in the day or in the week for me to be able to do it, unfortunately. But what it does mean is that when that coverage comes out, it's better curated and more time's been spent on it. So hopefully people will enjoy it more. That seems to be the way. Certainly the longer form reviews on the site and the longer form analysis is garnering better support, more support, and more positive feedback from those viewing it. So, oh, burning scaffold! I think we're doing all right for time here, guys. Not too bad. Obviously, the little sewer excursion was unnecessary, but why not? Why not take some time to look around the sewers? That's what I say. I'm probably not going to save it for the whole game either, which would be funny if I die, so that would be funny. So it's probably a no save run, because that just wastes time. So what you're watching now is essentially every Nemesis boss fight with the rocket launcher. You can just spam this. You do have to be careful, because he can still mess you up.
It's still kicking?
And he can dodge, obviously. I think that's him done here. Yep. Done for now.
Carlos?
He's never actually
It's chill. Do you read me?
never actually down, is he? He always comes back.
All right.
Yeah. Bastards.
There we go. You can't skip that straight away for some reason. You can skip every other conversation pretty much instantly, but that one, I think it's because of loading times. Disguising loading times. You can't skip it. I mean, this Resident Evil engine that they use, I can't remember the name of the engine, but it's awesome, right? Look how beautiful it looks. And I also thought that this would be poignant because rumors abound, lots and lots of supposed leaks about new Resident Evil stuff. So let's talk about that. So I think in the last few days, I mean, it'll probably be a week or so by the time this video goes up. Shit, I'm not supposed to shoot him. But there's basically rumors of Resident Evil 8 information being released, which is saying that it once again is, I think the rumor is, and these are just rumors, so, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, you never know, but I think the rumor is that Resident Evil 8 is going to be first person again, and that Chris Redfield might even be the bad guy, which would be just crazy. And there's also a pretty substantial rumor that work has started on a Resident Evil 4 remake. Now, this is very interesting because, for me, I love. Don't get me wrong, man. Everyone loves Resident Evil 4. I love Resident Evil 4, of course. But
Rocket launcher?
Um,
Really?
got him. Huh, first shot. But for me, it's slightly different Resident Evil 4 than, you know, most of the other. Like it was the turning point, right? And some people assert that it's the point at which the franchise began its sort of identity crisis, because up until then you had very, you know, similar games with very similar, you know, puzzle solving and things like that, and some of that is retained. Oh my god, can't believe he hit me. Some of that is retained in Resident Evil 4, of course, but the shift to slightly more action-focused gameplay, the change of perspective, you know, all that stuff, which undeniably helped shape what we now know as the third-person genre in general. Like, there's no, you can't deny, like, it's basically canon at this point in terms of video game history. But what's interesting is it does you do see this sort of identity crisis begin to happen after that, at that point, and it's sort of almost like a sacred text for a lot of people, Resident Evil 4. For me, I actually think that I prefer Resident Evil 1 Remake. For me, that is the purest and most distilled Resident Evil experience, what I consider a Resident Evil experience, right? What Resident Evil was conceived as. And for me, Resident Evil 4 was amazing, but it was different. It wasn't quite the original Resident Evil. But so I think that on a personal level, I would probably be more upset if... where the hell is he? Is he in the hedge? I probably would be more upset if they did this... Well, not upset. That's probably a bit strong. I'd be more kind of cautiously optimistic if they remade the first Resident Evil again for a second time, I guess, but in this style, you know, in this engine. Even though I'm sure it'd be amazing, because I love that remake, that HD remake of the first one so much. But nevertheless, the reverence for Resident Evil 4 is palpable in the industry and like in the community, and it's an amazing game. And so there's been a lot of like excitement, but also some pushback, I think, on the notion of remaking Resident Evil 4, because, you know, it's a bold move, because that game is, in many ways and to many people, is timeless, and is almost the perfect game. But I guess the rebuttal to that was, let's not forget, Square Enix just remade Final Fantasy VII. So I think, you know, anything is possible, and like, all bets are off. Anything's on the table, right? If you can remake Final Fantasy VII, which is essentially for JRPGs what Resident Evil 4 is for third-person survival horror, then, you know, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm hoping to cover in a later video, because I have a lot of thoughts on that, and Final Fantasy VII is probably, it's one of, if not my favourite game of all time. So, obviously, my relationship with the remake is quite complex, but
all right. Keep your head Romeo.
If they can remake that, and you know, it seems to be commercially and critically successful, then there's no reason why people wouldn't take to a similar remake of Resident Evil 4. I guess, you know, I completely get that the genres are completely different and the context is completely different, and lots and lots of nuances required in order to accurately, I don't think I even need that ID card. Accurately, you know, make such a comparison. You can't. But just looking at it really, really broadly, you know, Resident Evil 4 was a big deal and did a lot of big things for the industry. And, you know, you can say the same thing about Final Fantasy VII in its own genre. And I guess that it would be easy to see why Capcom would feel emboldened to remake Resident Evil 4 now, given that they've just remade 2 and 3 and they've both been very commercially successful, and they've seen a rival company remake a game that had a similar impact, albeit in the years prior, and also
He
in
knows
a different
about
genre
under our thumbs.
to, again,
This
critical and
search
commercial
rescue mission
success.
is really more like
So
find and detain.
it's going to be interesting. And also, it's like, what level of remake are they going to do? Are they actually going to
I'll open the shutters.
use this engine? I assumedly they are, which means that,
Station.
you know, it won't play the same anymore. It'll play like one of these games, one of these remakes.
Hey. Yeah.
Interesting.
You too.
Interesting times for the franchise. And it almost feels a bit like it took remaking this and the second
hell
one
was
for
that thing?
Resident Evil to really rediscover its identity. I think that Resident Evil 7 was also a step in the right direction, even though it doesn't really... I love Resident Evil 7, but it doesn't really feel like traditional Resident Evil, you know? It feels different. My god, did that kill him as well? That's amazing. It feels different. It feels like...
Big warm RPDT.
yeah,
Copy.
something
There's something real
else. It
nice
feels
in
basically like a different game that was repurposed as a Resident Evil game. Maybe that's just... maybe that's not true and that's just how I'm seeing it. But yeah, it certainly feels that way. But I think it was a step in the right direction because it prioritized horror over action.
Fucked up shooting cops.
And there is still horror elements in Resident Evil 5 and 6, but it's clear that, you know, action was the order of the day. He does get up, by the way. That's why I just put a rocket in his face. Anyone who's played Resident Evil 2 Remake will recognise this area. Obviously, this is the RCPD, where Leon spends much of his time. They toned down as well on the... oh shit, forgot about that. They've also toned down a lot in these remakes the kind of moon logic convoluted puzzles. Oh shit, there's a guy in here. The kind of convoluted puzzles, like, I don't know if you guys remember the original Resident Evil 2, but like, some of the shit you had to do. Can you imagine if you worked in this police station and somebody said like, oh, yeah, you know, take this down to evidence for me. All the fucking hoops you'd have to jump through to do it. Put in gems and stuffed animals' eyes and rotating fountains and all kinds of shit. Oh, he's alive. So yeah, they've cut down on a lot of that kind of weird moon logic in these remakes. Made them more streamlined, a little bit more, I guess, believable. As believable as this can be. Given that it's a game about genetically engineered zombies. Yeah, use it. What the fuck? Sorry, that's my fault. Quite cool though, because you see, like, obviously all of this has been torn apart and blown up in Resident Evil 2 by the time... Oh shit! By the time Leon gets here, so it's kind of cool how it ties in. I thought I hadn't killed it then. I don't remember if I think there's more enemies down there. I don't remember. Skip.
This will take some time. Look around, see if you can find anything useful.
How are we doing? Okay. So maybe 40 minutes in, so yeah, probably looking at about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half-ish, maybe. I guess I should have done this as a stream. Oh well. Maybe I will. While I still know the game, that's the other problem, you know, that's why I wanted to do this now. Because in a couple of weeks or a month, I'll have completely forgotten this game. Like, not forgotten about it, but forgotten how to do a speedrun. You know, I'll have to rediscover every area and be like, where do I go? Where's the key for this? This area, by the way, really good area to farm grenade launcher kills. If you save it at that typewriter we just passed, and then basically keep reloading that save and run up through here, kill all these guys with grenade launcher, then that's probably the best place in the game to farm grenade launcher kills. which is there's a couple of challenges based on grenade launcher kills, which give you quite a lot of points, quite a lot of currency to spend in the reward store, which means you can get the rocket launcher and have a super fun time. Scripted running section. Face. So yeah, the Nemesis continues to evolve throughout the game and become kind of more and more like a weird alien queen. So this boss fight's actually a bit of a pain in the ass the first time you do it, or on higher difficulties, but with a rocket launcher on this difficulty, it's a joke. But he's already dead.
Crap out on me now? God damn it.
If you guys would like to see a run of the game with all the cutscenes, or a run of the game with different stipulations, see me try and possibly fail at do that, let me know in the comments. Because while I'm still focused on playing this, amongst other things, like, it's probably the best time, because like I say, in a few weeks' time I'll have played a ton of other games and I won't remember anything.
I promise.
Oh yeah, hospital. Right. This section. So I don't remember. Like, I really should play. I don't have a plan to review this game, this particular remake. But if I do decide to, I'll replay the original again before I play it, because there are certain things and I can't quite remember the similarities. So, for example, in here you come across hunters, which obviously are a pretty iconic villain from the first Resident Evil. But I don't remember if that happens in the original game. You know, I don't remember if there is hunters in the hospital. That shit me up the first time, by the way. I knew it was coming then, but God, did that shit me up the first time. But yeah, I don't remember if there's hunters in Resident Evil 3 on PS1. I may play it again if I get the chance soon, and also if I decide to do a full review and analysis on this, which I might. It's just quite a lot of other stuff in the pipeline to cover at the moment. Currently working on a review for a JRPG, actually, speaking of which, so that's taking a bit of time. As I say, I think I'm going to say maybe 25 hours in to the particular JRPG, and it's going pretty well, but like I say, I like to play through it and then maybe in a New Game Plus mode as well. Plus I've got some coverage planned, like I said, for Final Fantasy VII Remake and various other things. It's quite interesting seeing the reaction to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Again, I'll go into that in greater detail, possibly in a later video. This is the wrong room, it's this way. It's the other thing about, it's like remembering where to go. Can be a pain in the ass sometimes, especially when you're trying to do a speedrun. But again, it's actually been, I feel like I got the platinum trophy on this a couple of, like, last week maybe, and then even since then, so it's probably been about a week since I did a run of this, maybe a bit less, and even since then I've forgotten about where to go and what I'm doing, you know. Oh wait, I've got the key for that, haven't I? Stupid. I mean, obviously it doesn't help because I'm talking, which also means that it's more difficult to concentrate. But yeah, I've already forgotten some of the nuances involved in the optimum run. Hunter. Short work of it with the old rocket launcher. Again, on hardcore difficulty, or not hardcore, Inferno difficulty, there's more hunters here. Just a much more of a pain in the ass. There are more hunters in a second anyway, but yeah, there's tons of them, and like you don't have First time through, I didn't have the rocket launcher, and they take a lot of punishment if you don't have the rocket launcher. You know, they'll soak up a lot of your ammo. Yeah. God. She was vocal. Oh, I think I forgot to pick up the tape recorder. Well, we can get it on the way back, don't worry. Yeah, this is not the best speedrun, guys, I'm sorry. It's pretty good, but it's it could be better. I'm probably only going to mess it up more later on. There are some annoying bits later. There was a hunter coming for me there, but good luck, mate. Also, it's definitely true that... I wasn't sure I got them all then. It's definitely true that this, in particular... there's the tape recorder. This particular game, like, in comparison even to Resident Evil 2 Remake, has a much heavier focus on action. And that kind of makes sense because Carlos is a much more... he's in a much more advantageous position when it comes to, you know, how much ammo he has and things like that. You know, he's a bit more prepared as a soldier, and you almost feel that Jill is as well. Whereas, you know, Leon and Claire are kind of thrown into this situation. Leon's a rookie cop, and Claire, you know, yeah, okay, she's looking for her brother, but she probably didn't expect any of this. I've gone the wrong way as I'm talking. So yeah, it's am I even going the right way now? I don't even know anymore. Terrible speedrun. But yeah, so it kind of makes sense that this would be more action orientated, but like there's a section in a minute where you have to basically hold off hordes of zombies.
All I wanted to know was what the documents were doing in your office in the first
Come on.
place.
Who do you think you're talking to? I'm goddamn Nathaniel Bard.
I love that he says his name. It's so useful that he says his name there. Otherwise, we would not have been able to get in here.
Bard. Tyrell. Bard's dead. He's been shot.
Yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, this first, isn't it? So yeah, I think we could refine the speedrun a lot. I think we could get it down to... I mean, I think I could probably get it below an hour if I really pushed. If I didn't have anything else to do or play. But as we know, that is not the situation. There's plenty more to play, plenty more to cover. Always. So, probably not. But I think I've only been hit once. It's annoying, actually. If the Nemesis hadn't hit me with his rocket launcher, I could have claimed this as a no damage run as well. Potentially. This is, of course, assuming that I don't take any damage between now and the end of the game, which is also a big assumption. Because I probably will take damage, especially on the end boss.
Better grab some gear.
So yeah, this is the section I was talking about, basically.
Okay.
You're in here, and they're coming in from all angles. But again, good old rocket launcher. Shove that right up your asses. So you just stand here. Blast them. They do eventually, after a little while, the hunter comes out of here. But again, this rocket launcher. This is actually quite a fun section. Oh, how did he get through? This is actually quite a fun section even without the rocket launcher. Well, in fact, I'd say it's more fun without the rocket launcher, to be honest. Because like you can shoot these things and they electrocute. They send out like an electronic pulse. They have to recharge. That's what happens when you're not paying attention. They have to recharge, but they send out an electronic pulse that basically freezes the zombies in place. So you have to like shoot these things occasionally, and then start popping heads. It's quite cool. Suck it. So yeah, like, look, if I shoot this thing, that electronic blast there, I should have shown you when there were zombies around, but it's difficult because the rocket launcher would have just destroyed them anyway. Interesting as well that if you fire a rocket out of there, it goes pretty far before it blows up, which means out there must be completely rendered. Even though you can't get out there. We're quite far through. I mean, what's the time? 45 minutes from playing. Okay, cool. Probably about half an hour from the end of the game, maybe, at this kind of rate. Perhaps. Ah.
Oh, come
Here
on.
comes the hunter.
Find the breaker. It must be somewhere.
Spoilers, the breaker's in here. And the zombie drop. There we go. There's also one of these hip pouch, which is good. Herbs and shit in there as well. So yeah, I mean, a little less interesting with the rocket launcher, I guess, but it is super fun. Like, if you play this section without unlimited ammo, with just the ammo the game gives you on the higher difficulties, it's genuinely tense. It feels like a section from Resident Evil 4, doesn't it? There's a lot of this in Resident Evil 4, like, you're barricaded in somewhere, you have to survive so many zombies, so many waves. How did I miss him? But, yeah, it's genuinely tense when you're running low on ammo and you've got to make every shot count. Pretty cool. Boom. Screw this. Boom. Whoa. So yeah, these shutters are very slowly dropping. Actually, I'll tell you what we could do to save a bit of time is pick that up now. Taking my eye off the ball, creeping up behind me again. The other games, I don't know if you guys ever played Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, but I actually quite liked those games as well. I know they've got their problems and they're a little janky. They don't seem to have the kind of budget that the mainline series gets, obviously, but I really like them. I mean, I think the first one has a stronger campaign, but the second one, Resident Evil Revelations 2, is it raid mode or mercenaries mode, whatever it's called at the end that you unlock, is awesome. Like, basically it's a constant. I play it on Switch a lot now, but I have it on PS4 and PC as well, and like, it's so addictive, man. Like, that mode, it's awesome. But that's what I always like about Resident Evil as well. Like, I really like. I mean, the story's convoluted and mildly ridiculous, and has been since the very first Resident Evil. Like, it's not. It was never a masterclass in storytelling, but it has a sort of an engaging enough single-player narrative. But it also, the best Resident Evil games are like, they have this extra layer, which is after you've beat them, you know, you want to. They have mercenaries mode, or they have like a fourth survivor, or they have unlockable unlockables like unlimited ammo and stuff like that. And that's where like the real time sink comes in. I think I've played Resident Evil Revelations 2 for like getting on for nearly 100 hours, just mainly in that endgame mode. It's just awesome.
Right.
And it's not even the best game, you know, it's not even the greatest in terms of mechanics, but it's just so addictive. Right, back with Jill now. Little Jill Valentine. So, what I will also show you in this tutorial, in this
This must be the way underground.
speedrun, let's play, channel update video, I will also show you how to get the trophy for getting all the fuses in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes or less. Because the first time you go to this area to get the fuses is a pain in the ass. You wander around for ages, you don't know where you are, what you're doing, where the enemies are. So I'll show you a nice, easy route that will allow for that trophy to be gained relatively easily. I mean, yes, obviously it's made easier if you've got a rocket launcher with unlimited ammo, of course, but even without, I did it without. The first time when I got the trophy, I did it without, but using this route, so I'll show it to you. So basically you have to get 3 fuses. Hip pouch, good. Extend the old inventory space. So down here you have to get 3 fuses. So you're chasing some dude up there. You go to use the lift. And it goes, no, blows. So you have to get 3 fuses to replace the 3 in there. So there's an enemy that drops down from here. So what you want to do first is use this lift. So the trophy, I think, is for doing it in 5 minutes, but there's also even if you're not playing on PlayStation 4, there's also a challenge in the bonuses screen that get you more points for the reward shop to do it in 5 minutes or less as well. So this is the first fuse here. Grab that. Then take a left down this ladder. Now, you will have like some enemies pop out here. You can just avoid them. With the rocket launcher, it's probably easier to kill them though. So yeah, then what you want to do is go this way. More shit dropping down. There's a dude around here. Mess him up or dodge him, it doesn't really matter. Through here. And then what you want to do is go up these stairs. This is the one that took me the longest to find. And when you get to the top of the stairs, instead of going through that door, go over this lift. Don't use that lever. And use this lever. And then this will raise this platform up. Over there, and then down this ladder here. There's some enemies down here too. What I did was I just avoided them when I didn't have the rocket launcher. Now I've got the rocket launcher, I'll mess them up. But there's another fuse here. That's fuse number 2. There's another enemy that jumps out of here. It's one of those weird sewer things. Again, you can get to the ladder quick enough without it attacking you. But let's not take the risk. But yeah, if you don't have a rocket launcher, just run to this ladder. And once you're on the ladder, you are in invincibility frames, so it can't hit you. Then you go back across this bridge here. Past where you came up. And then you go over here. Through this door. There's enemies in here. So mess them up. Obviously. And then instead of going through there, which leads you back to the save room, you go take a left and go down here. And then the last fuse is right here, but there is a hunter that will jump out. There. It will mess him up. And that's the 3rd fuse.
Right, here goes.
And then you also have to get back to the fuse box quick enough, but that's alright because you just go straight back up this ladder. And then this door that we just avoided with the little lock, unlock that, and that takes you basically back into the save room. You can take a hard left and then just jump down here. These guys will now wake up. They are a pain in the arse. Again, avoid them if you can, because they're the big-headed zombies. And then, yeah, here's the fuse box. Slam all of these in, and that should get you the trophy. Obviously, I've already unlocked it, so it's not unlocking now. But that's how you do it. So there you go. A little extra trophy tip for you if you actually made it this far into the video.
Shit, he got away.
Okay, nope, it's not that way. It's this way first. cutscene here.
This way.
A nice slow walk down this corridor to definitely to just to cover loading
We'll find
times,
the
I reckon.
vaccine up ahead.
Pop that code in there, mate. See, look how this is the fastest I can walk down this corridor. I'm like, run, Jill. It's a speed run. Look how slow she's going.
Stop.
Stop and do what? I got your back.
All right. Let's get
Nice
this done.
and slow. Okay. Skip that shit. Okay, so this is the lab area. Again, this took me a little while the first time, but when you know the route, it's actually really, really simple. So what we need to do is get in there, but we can't yet. So there's a save room there, but we're ignoring that. We go up here. And then in here. Take a hard right. So this area, basically, what you've got to do is mix another vaccine. So you need 2 chemicals to do that, and they're both down here. So that key that we just got, that allows us to go into that locked door that we passed on the way down. It's just here. So on these white enemies, these like white zombies, not this guy, but like this dude, like these. Again, with the rocket launcher, they are no problem at all. But on even on lower difficulties, like on medium, if you don't have a rocket launcher, they can be a bit of a pain because they regenerate. So just be wary of them, because they can be a real pain. Again, like, your best bet a lot of the time is to avoid them. So yeah, that's one chemical that we just got up there. And then this took me a little while to find for some reason the first time. So you go down here, around here, to get the next one. Which is not particularly well signposted. Down here. So let's get in there. To go around here, and there's another zombie pretending really badly to be dead. Oh, I'm so dead. Bullshit.
This must be what powers
And
it.
this is like a little pseudo like introduction to the mechanic pushing these things in to create power. That's kind of needed for the final boss fight. You'll see what I mean when we get there, which won't be long now. Right. Through here. So you'll notice hunters on the left and tyrants. No, Mr. X's, sorry, on the right. I do miss Mr. X. He's so awesome. He's actually in the Resident Evil Resistance online game that you play, that you get with this. He's deployable with one of the leaders, but that game is a little mediocre, unfortunately. So the other chemicals in here.
Okay.
What you want to do now is mix these.
This looks like it might be used in vaccine development.
And then we need to go back to one of the previous rooms we've been to. It's just about backtracking. Again, be wary on higher difficulties, because the game likes to throw more enemies at you during backtracks, because of course it does. On your way through here, hunters are going to break out. So on this difficulty, the easiest, I think it's just 2. I think it's just 2 of them. Yeah, it's just 2. So on Inferno mode, every hunter that's in a jar in there breaks out. So it's like 6 of them. So be prepared for that, because that's a pain in the ass. Just be wary, because we might have missed an enemy. Sometimes they like to pretend they're dead. This way. So back up where we got the key is where we're going. This way. There are enemies down there, but there's also a collectible, if you're bothered. Maybe I'll do a collectibles run at some point. Now there's a mini puzzle here. I can't remember what it is. I think
Synthesis?
I
have to
think
make it
it's
myself?
it's mid, high, low.
Right, gotta figure this out.
Yeah, mid, high, low on the bottom. It gives you the vaccine. Now we're into boss fight territory. So now basically these are the final 2 bosses. So we're almost there, guys. What's our time at, I wonder? Oh, I can't check. This is a pain in the ass. So this means click the left stick while pushing it forward. The first time this happened to me, I almost died here because I had no idea. I thought it was like, do I just push the stick forward in rhythm? But no, it means to tap the stick while pushing it forward.
What in God's name is this place?
Yeah, 1 hour. So yeah, just over an hour. Probably be about another 10 minutes, maybe a bit less, depending on how many times it takes me to kill these. So this guy, again, absolute pain on harder difficulties, this fight. But on this difficulty, with this stuff, with these extra damage and the rocket launcher, it's actually a joke.
Nikolai, where did you go?
But here's where the game this boss is fucking annoying. I'm actually going to take the machine gun out for this. And maybe this first aid spray, even though I probably won't use it. But because this boss is a pain in the ass. Again, on this difficulty, shouldn't be too bad. But on Inferno, this is by far the thing that stumped me the most. It didn't really start. I think I died 3 or 4 times on it on Inferno, maybe. Maybe a few more. So it's partially scripted, right? But then after you shoot it this once, it grows these weird sacks. And on Inferno, it grows way more of them. Yeah, you have to hit them and then push these things back in to reuse the gun. Now, it falls over. On this difficulty, it's down. When you shoot the sacks, it's down for fucking ages. Like, I might even be able to get 2 of them pushed in the time it's down, which is insane. On Inferno, it's barely down long enough for you to push one of these things in. And it's back up, and it goes right for you, and it can stun lock you. So if it hits you with its overhead, you are stun locked, and that means you're dead. So it's real pain.
Go ahead. I'm gonna put you right
On the harder difficulty. But again, on here, it shouldn't be too bad. You get it? Yeah, I think I got it. So it's going to fall over again. But again, yeah, like, you can't push 2 of these in on one. Like, barely. It would basically be getting back up already on the harder difficulty. On Inferno, it's just an absolute pain in the ass. But on this difficulty, I think we're basically done. It's funny, because on the first time I tried Inferno, I got all the way to that point, and I just had to run over to the gun and press press X, sorry. To run over to the gun and press X, and I died on the way there. He just slapped me once and it killed me. It's just such a bastard. So that's him done. He is essentially the final boss. So we are basically done now. Up the ladder we go. By the way, there's a collectible outside of this door on the floor here. That little white thing there is a collectible. I missed that. That was the last collectible I found. It took me ages to figure out that I'd missed it, so pro tip if you want the collectible trophy.
Can't let Nikolai get away with that vaccine.
Again, most of the game's trophies, I know some people don't care about trophies, but like most of them are attached to getting points in the store, which allows you to unlock unlimited ammo and stuff, so they're kind of worth doing, and they're a good like
Don't catch him.
extra percentage meter for me, at least. I like to get them all if I like the game. So this is got a little cutscene here where you have to shoot him. By the way, you can't shoot him in the head and like miss Carlos. You have to like graze Carlos with that. And that is it. We are done. 1 hour, 3 minutes. No deaths, no saves. S rank. So there you go, guys. Done. A channel update and a saunter through Resident Evil 3 remake for all of you. I hope that's been enlightening and fun. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you like Let's Plays and speedruns and stuff, because I can do more of them. Let me know what you think about streaming. Let me know games that you want me to cover. Just keep the feedback coming. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing, ring the notification bell, all of that stuff. There's a link to the Twitch channel in on the in my YouTube homepage. There's links to Twitch. So I'm hoping to start running streams every week, but we'll see how that goes. And it's Outpost First on Twitter as well, if you want to follow on Twitter, which is kind of gives you a bit more updated information, quicker information when I'm streaming and when new videos are coming, all that kind of jazz. Yes, I think that's going to do it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you all again soon. Take care, stay safe.